Hi everybody, it's Annie again. I was reading to you from Ivy and Bean, Book 1. Remember, in the end of our last chapter, Ivy takes Bean to a secret place to escape her sister Nancy. Have you been thinking about what that secret place is? Have you been making a picture in your mind, visualizing what it might look like? Well, let's see what Annie Barrows and Sophie Blackall think it looks like. Might be different from what you're thinking. What you're thinking is not wrong. It's another idea. That's the great thing about reading. You can picture whatever you want. Here we go. Ivy hatches a plan. Bean opened her eyes. They were in a corner of Ivy's backyard. There was a big rock on one side and a small tree on the other. Between them was a perfectly round puddle. "This is the secret spot?" asked Bean. She had expected something more secret-looking, like a cave. "Yes, they'll never find you here," said Ivy. "You can stay as long as you want. I'll bring you food." "But I only need to stay until dinner time," Bean said. Ivy looked disappointed. I thought you wanted to run away." "Oh, I do, but only until dinner time." "Oh." Bean felt bad about not staying. "Wouldn't you get in trouble if your parents found out that I was living here?" she asked. They don't come out here very much," Ivy said. "My mom is afraid of ticks." "Probably don't even get in trouble anyway," said Bean, feeling glum. "I'm always in trouble." I do too get in trouble," said Ivy. "No, you don't," Bean said. "You read books all the time. You can't get in trouble reading books." Ivy said, "Well, I will get in trouble, really huge trouble, if I do what I want to do, what I'm planning to do." Bean waited. "Well, what do you plan to do?" Ivy looked around before she whispered, "Spells, magic, potions." "Really? You mean like a witch?" "Yes. Well, not yet, but I'm going to be a witch," Ivy said. Her eyes were glowing. I'm learning how." Bean looked at Ivy's black bathrobe. It was kind of dirty now, and some of the little pieces of paper had fallen off. Bean saw that the papers were cut into star and moon shapes. Bean saw that Ivy really didn't know how to draw stars. Some of them only had 4 points, and some of them only had 3. The moons didn't look so good either. "Is that a witch's robe?" she asked. "Yeah," Ivy said. "Did you make it yourself?" asked Bean. "Yeah," said Ivy. It's nice," said Bean politely. Didn't really look like a witch's robe. It looked kind of goofy. I didn't know you could learn to be a witch," Bean said. "I thought you just had to be one." "Well, that's what most people think," said Ivy. "But I'm learning. I probably know more than most born witches my age. I just learned this spell that makes you invisible." Wow. Bean could sure use that. "Will you teach me? Invisible? That would be great." "Well, I haven't done it yet," Ivy admitted. "'Cause you've got to have a dead frog." "Ooh," said Bean. "It would be really mean to kill a frog." "Yeah. Well, that's why I dug this pond," Ivy said, as she pointed to the puddle with her gold stick. "I was hoping that a frog would come here and die." Bean didn't mention that her pond really looked like a puddle. "Wow," she said. "Well, what's the stick for?" "That's my wand," said Ivy. Bean couldn't help it. She burst out laughing. "That's not a wand. It's just a stick painted gold." "It is too a wand." Now Ivy looked mad. You better watch out or I'm going to use it on you. Bean stopped laughing. Use it? How? I'll cast a dancing spell on you. You won't be able to stop dancing for the rest of your life, like this. She started jumping up and down, kicking her legs and waggling her arms. Ivy stopped dancing. Could you really do that? Asked Bean. Maybe, said Ivy. I was going to test it when you started yelling about being a ghost. Who were you going to test it on? Bean asked. Ivy's face turned red. Nobody, she said. Bean could tell she was lying. Come on, who? Ivy's face got redder. Come on, tell me, said Bean. Ivy looked down at the dirt. You, she said in a low voice. Me? Yelped Bean. What did I ever do to you? I'm sorry, said Ivy. She did look sorry. That's okay, said Bean. There was a pause. Ivy said, My mother keeps on saying what a nice girl you are. She's always telling me I should go play with you. It's driving me nuts. Bean couldn't believe it. That's what my mother says about you. That's so funny. But you're not really nice at all. You're a witch. Ivy giggled. You're not very nice either. You were doing that ghost thing in the bushes. Bean was embarrassed. The part about the icy fingers was good, Ivy said. What were you doing in there anyway? Bean sat down on the rock. I was waiting for my sister, Nancy. She's a total pain in the kazoo. I put $20 on a string and I was going to pull it out of her hand when she reached down to pick it up. Ivy nodded. Is that why she got mad at you? No, she got mad because it was her $20. Bean felt glum again. Ivy saw Bean was worrying. Are you going to be in trouble? Yeah, probably, Bean said. I'm not supposed to mess with her money. Bean thought, you don't have a going back in time spell, do you? No, those are hard, said Ivy. She looked at her pond. I wish I had that dead frog. That would be good, said Bean. But hey, wait a second. What about that dancing spell? Could you put that dancing spell on Nancy? So she'll dance for the rest of her life? How is that going to get you out of trouble? Ivy asked. Well, it's not, said Bean, but it would be really funny. The next chapter is called Beware. Oops, I forgot to show you a picture. Look at that. Bean is visualizing Nancy under the dancing spell, where she can't stop dancing. Is that what you were picturing? You could have a different idea. The next chapter is called Beware. Once they had agreed to cast a spell on Nancy, Bean stared long and hard at Ivy's robe. Those little pieces of paper had to go. The first thing that we have to do is make you look more like a witch, she said. Ivy looked down at her bathrobe. Why? She asked. Bean tried to explain without hurting Ivy's feelings. If you want people to believe you're really a witch, I think you should look more witchy. But I don't care if other people believe me, Ivy said. Bean shook her head. What a weird kid. It'll make your spells better, too. You've got to dress for success. Her mom said that all the time. It usually meant that Bean had to put on a clean shirt. Besides, it'll be fun. Do you have any face paint? Ivy nodded. In my room, upstairs. She pointed to a window. Is your mom inside? Bean asked. I guess, said Ivy. Is she going to tell my mom where I am? Grown-ups stuck together that way. Bean's dad said it was because they were all in a club together, but Bean felt pretty sure he'd been making that up. Ivy tapped her wand against her hand. Maybe we should just sneak into the house, just to be sure. That was fine with Bean. She liked sneaking. She loved face paint, too. And she was really going to love watching Nancy kick her legs and wave her arms around for the rest of her life. They went into the back door to the kitchen. Bean could hear Ivy's mom talking on the telephone somewhere in the house. "This is going to be easy," whispered Ivy. "My mom's working." She yelled loudly, "Hey, Mom, can I have a banana?" "Hang on a second," Bean heard Ivy's mom say. Then to Ivy, she said, "Honey, I'm on the phone. Go get your own banana." There was the sound of a door shutting. Okay, yelled Ivy. She smiled at Bean. See? Easy. Very tricky, thought Bean. Ivy was turning out to be a lot more interesting than Bean had thought. They walked softly past Ivy's mom's door and up the stairs. They were very quiet. At the top of the stairs, there was a door with a sign that said, "Beware," in red glitter letters. That was Ivy's room. When she went in, Bean stood still and looked around. "This is way cool," she said. She'd never seen a room like Ivy's. There were thick lines drawn on the floor marking out 5 different sections. Each section was like a different room. In one section, there was a sofa with a rug and a bookcase stuffed with books. In another was a table covered with pens and paper and glitter glue and paint. Ivy's bed, which was a canopy made with silver netting, was in another section. A dresser and a folding screen painted with clouds was in the 4th section. The 5th section had nothing in it but dolls. Bean had never seen so many dolls in her whole life. There were the regular plastic kind of dolls, and then there were weird staring dolls in fancy costumes, the kind that were kept in the cases in a toy store. Are you visualizing that room divided into sections with different things? What if you did that in the room where you slept? What would you put in the sections of your room? Let's see what they imagine here. There were stiff wooden dolls, there were china dolls, smaller ones, and really tiny ones. There was one doll that was really a rock dressed in clothes. All the dolls were seated around a doll-sized blanket. Even the mushy baby dolls that couldn't sit by themselves had been propped up with blocks. In the middle of the blanket lay a Barbie doll wrapped up in toilet paper. All the other dolls were watching her. "Neat," said Bean, "a mummy." "Yeah," said Ivy. "I was going to build a pyramid to bury her in, as soon as I figure out how." Oh, I know how," said Bean. "Nancy made one out of sugar cubes last year. I can't believe your parents let you draw lines on your floor." So that's how this illustrator, Sophie Blackall, is visualizing all of these dolls. I wonder if you had a different idea. "It's only chalk," said Ivy. "It comes off. I change the lines when I change the rooms. Now, I'm thinking of getting rid of the dressing room and making it into a kitchen." "Is that the one that's the dressing room?" asked Bean, pointing to the section with the dresser and the folded screen. "Yeah," said Ivy. "Well, I like the screen," said Bean. "But a kitchen might be a little bit boring. Maybe you could turn it into a science lab for making potions, and the screen could protect all your secrets." "A lab," said Ivy, thinking. "A witch's lab. That's a pretty good idea." Bean looked over to the table that held the paint and the glitter glue. "What's that room called?" she asked. "Oh, that's my art studio," said Ivy. "Cool," said Bean. "Hey, let's fix up your wand." In Ivy's art studio, there were plenty of sequins and jewels and streamers and pipe cleaners. First, they wrapped the wand with silver pipe cleaners. Then Bean attached streamers to the end. Then Ivy put some stickers on it, and Bean put plain glue on the top, and she dipped the whole thing into the jar of glitter. The wand dripped a little bit, but it looked much, much more magic than it had before. "Now," said Bean when it was done, "let's get to work on your robe." "What's the matter with my robe?" asked Ivy. "Well, all the stars and the moon are coming off," said Bean. "See?" She pointed. "It'll look better if we draw them with sparkly markers." Ivy looked kind of embarrassed. "I can't really draw stars very well." "I can," said Bean. "I'll show you." Bean showed Ivy how to draw dots for the star points, then connect the dots with lines. Ivy practiced on paper for a while, and then they stretched the bathrobe over the table and began drawing. Can you see that picture in your mind? Them stretching the bathrobe over a table and drawing. Ivy's stars were a little bent, but they all had 5 points. Soon the black robe was covered with silver stars and golden moons. Once they were done, Ivy got out her face paint. Bean couldn't believe it. The set had 24 colors. "Wow, let's do green stripes," said Bean, "or green dots." There were 3 different shades of green. "No, witches are only green in movies," said Ivy. "Real witches are just regular color." "Yeah, but you've got all that great face paint," said Bean. "We've got to use it for something." Ivy thought for a minute. We could put black around my eyes." "Okay, but aren't real witches kind of pale and light colored because they mostly just go out at night?" asked Bean. "I guess," said Ivy, "kind of pale, but not green. My mom knew a guy who turned green. It was because he watched TV all the time." But she could tell that she wasn't changing Ivy's mind. "What if we did all white with black around your eyes?" she suggested. "Yeah," Ivy nodded, "with a couple of blobs of red on my cheeks for blood." "That's good," Bean agreed. "Blood is good." So Bean carefully smeared white all over Ivy's face except on her lips. Then she drew red drops on her cheeks. They didn't really look like blood. They looked more like red tears. And that was kind of scary too. And then Bean drew thick black lines around Ivy's eyes. Getting a picture of what this might look like? Both girls thought that the witches' hats were dorky. So they wrapped Ivy's head in a black scarf, which they borrowed from her mom's dresser drawer. It almost looked like long black hair. Ivy stared at herself in the mirror. "Wow," she said, "I look really strange." Do you have an idea of what she might look like? What are you visualizing? Here's what Sophie Blackall's visualizing. And she did look strange. And that's the end of our chapter. I'm really wondering what's going to happen next now that they've got her all dressed up like a witch. Tune into my next video and find out. But first, think. What are they going to do now that Ivy is dressed up as a witch? What are they thinking? Do you think the dancing spell is going to work on Nancy? I really wonder. See you next time.